Good morning, friends. It's Nancy, and I have got the flip through of this journal ready to go. It's a big journal, 9.5-ish by 6.25-ish, and it has a 2.5-inch spine. This journal was completely constructed from scratch. I used this box. I bought it at a vintage show. So this was foil icicles that you would hang on your Christmas tree. This was made for Woolworth Company. Can you hear some jingling? That's because there's lots of shiny, glittery things in here. We'll go through one by one. All right, settle in. It's going to be a long video. There's 9 signatures with a hidden hollow back spine. The inside cover is covered with fabric. Let me just make sure I'm centered here. And the front cover is scrapbook paper. I've covered it over with this like mesh lace with gold, some vintage doily. Feels dark in here. I don't know why it's so dark. And I made this topper with a vintage photo, or an antique photo I should say, and some bits and pieces from Tim Holtz. To give it a little more glitz, I added some stickles, and there's some sequins along this candy cane. Now, if you want to add sequins to your journals, this is the glue that I recommend. It's kind of pricey, but use your coupon at Michael's. I think it was like $9 Canadian. So if you've got a 40% off coupon, that's not too bad. That's made by Beacon. Yeah, it's called Gem Tack. Here is a page from a book. Lots of vintage cards. And I chose cards that had foil or glitter, going for the glitz here. This is also a card, but I made a little floating pocket out of it, so it has this, the end of the bed is the pocket. Now the back of it, is nothing to write home about. I pulled this out of an old scrapbook. But I've pinned it down with a paper clip, and it has a little miniature Christmas ball there. And on the bottom, I've got this piece of embossed paper and a little glittery snowflake. Let me pause for just a second. It is dark. Hopefully that's better. Little glittery snowflake down here. This is a vintage invoice from a mechanic. These are little cutouts from an Ideals magazine, and I just put this picture here of this snowy scene with a woman holding some books. This is a page from a smaller version Ideals. This came from a Christmas Carol book. My goodness, I'm just a mess today. And the inside, the center of that Christmas Carol book had the visit from St. Nicholas. Little gift card there. This card is the kind that you can, split it down that back and make 2 pages out of it, or you can glue the bottom and I make a pocket. This is a vintage card. I made it a flip out. It has kind of a velvety texture. There's that lace. This page is from an Ideals magazine, and to lengthen it, I added some paper from a composition book. A little more sequins there, which I've stitched with some gold thread. And this paper flips out, so you have more writing space. This is a memo. I added some gold thread there. This is a vintage gift tag. I just added some Nuvo crystal drops, Nuvo crystal drops to highlight some of the circles there. His little nose and the berries. This is a page from the 1962 magazine. It has recipes and vintage card with lots of silver glitter. Here's the other side of that magazine page. A little pocket that I made from part of a card, and here's a picture, a snowy picture. Doesn't have any details on it, but I stitched that with gold thread. The rickrack is stitched down. Here's a little picture. Christmas night 1970. Tired, happy, and ready for bed. Lori and Kelly. And this is a vintage gift tag. I just popped a eyelet in there and added this little cherub. The silver lace is stitched down. Another vintage Christmas card. He's got lots of sparkles, and there's some the gold's glittering as well. These are actually vintage. These little gems, and I used the gem tack and just sort of glued them along some stitching with metallic thread to make it look like Christmas lights. Fussy cut from an Ideals magazine. I added some Nuvo drops, some vintage Christmas paper. This is a vintage gold doily and a vintage seal. And you can tuck something behind there on both sides. This is a vintage Christmas card, and I've added a couple of photos. Another flip out. The gold on the package is glittery. There's another Ideals magazine image that I've added some composition paper to. This is tea-dyed paper, as you can see. And I've done some swirly shapes and added some colored sequins. It's nice that the back and the front is decorated with gold thread. This is music manuscript paper. Another page from a magazine, 1962. Here's a Christmas card. There's a little gift tag there that has glitter on it. I didn't do that. I wouldn't get out the glitter on you. Magazine page, manuscript page. This is a Fussy cut from a magazine, and I added some Nuvo drops to add some sparkle. On this page, I added this piece of fabric that's metallic and some sequins, and then flip it over, and this is a pin, one of those stick pins, so that can be taken out. Here's a little tuck. This is a Tim Holtz picture here, but this photo inside the frame is genuine. Book page. This is a Christmas card. I tore it apart and it flips out and flips out. So I took some pieces and collaged them together to make them make sense. Another Christmas card with glitter, braille. Another photo. This is a place card, and it has 3 little jewels on it. Here's a vintage silver doily and a vintage seal. These came from an Ideals magazine, and I just glued on some sparkly sequins. They're only glued on the one edge so that something can be tucked underneath. Added a couple of snowflakes up here, and this paper is sort of impregnated with glitter, and of course I added that rickrack. This is Fussy cut from an Ideals magazine, and I added some Nuvo drops to give it a little sparkle on the flame and the drips of wax. Vintage doily, another Christmas card. Some more of those snowflakes and another Fussy cut, and I added these little flat back pearls, and that opens as well. And I have another bulb pin here, and it has a jingle bell, and I guess it's better seen from the other side. This little blue ribbon that has a little bit of holly there. There, lay down. Vintage gift tag, another vintage Christmas card, and it had this glitter on it. It's pretty. Tea-dyed Christmas card list, vintage Christmas paper. Some more stitching. This is stamped, and I glued on those gems. Vintage gift tag. I added some stickles and some Nuvo crystal, and tied this bow. Invoice. This is I wouldn't call this glitter. It's like mica. Pretty card it was. And that flips up. I just took some of that netting that had the gold lace and stitched that on with metallic thread. Book page. Another gift card from Millicent to Millicent from Frank. Sort of like a parchment-y kind of paper. This is just, I tore this out of Ideals magazine. The other side of that invoice. That opens up. I think my sequins were interlocked, but they're not going anywhere. They were glued on with the gem tack. Isn't that pretty? The two different images. I love that. Vintage paper. A vintage Christmas card. And here I did that effect with the metallic thread and the gems. I left the extra thread hanging. Okay, that can be cut off. This is Tim Holtz. This is also Tim Holtz. These little girls getting ready for bed. Santa's coming. This is a vintage gift card. I added some Nuvo drops. Fussy cut from Ideals magazine. Another flip out from a vintage card. That's a vintage seal. I stamped a couple of snowflakes there. And I have a sparkly snowman there. It'll show better from the other side. And on the other side, I have made this tag. This is an image from, I think it's an image from a book. And I added a little Tim Holtz thingy there. It can be used as a journal card. And gets clipped right there. There's another vintage seal on the back of this retro wrapping paper. And our last page. I'm estimating there's about 250 pages in here. I haven't quite decided what I'm doing with this journal yet, and when I do decide, I will give you an update. Yeah, so I hope you liked this, and maybe it's given you some ideas of things that you can use in your own journals. Maybe I've inspired you to take a look in your antique and vintage shops for an old package from ornaments. I've made ones like this before using the boxes of lights. They made like tall, slim journals. That was fun. Anyway, so thanks so much for joining me today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing, and take care. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.